Hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Nerd Zombie Goddess, and we're going to continue with part 3 of drawing this mushroom with our Derwent Drawing pencils. I did do something off screen. Oh, before I get into that, right now, pause the video, go grab your sketchbook, go grab some colored pencils, because you're going to draw with me. That's what we do. And you're going to draw along with me. If you don't have a mushroom reference, go find one. It'll take you 5 minutes. Find a nice cute one off Pinterest or Unsplash or Pixabay or any of those sites that you want to use. Go find you a nice little mushroom reference and get your pad and your pencils and start drawing and draw along with me. And thanks to you, all of you who've been watching and liking and commenting and all that stuff. I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, so I did do something off screen, or I didn't film because I wanted to try it. And you can see the background is a lot more blue. What I did a layer, another layer of this royal blue Derwent Drawing pencil. And then I used this little stubby blender, and I used some Canson solvent. I wanted to see how it did on this paper. And I know it was kind of long and boring, so I figured, I just wouldn't add it in the video, and I'll explain it to you after the fact. You didn't have to watch me do it because it took a minute to do the whole background. So, what you want to do if you use solvent, you got to make sure that you have at least 3 or 4 layers of colored pencil down on the area you want to blend. Now, I did that, and I still don't think I had enough layers down because it's either that or it's the paper. I've never used this paper before. I've never used this paper with solvent or colored pencils. So this is a whole new experience. Not what I normally use. I just wanted to try it. I really liked the way the paper looked and felt. So anyway, it didn't quite break down the pigment the way I wanted to. And I think it's because I didn't have enough color down. So it's just something you have to learn. And I haven't used solvent in a while. And I haven't used it with these pencils. So, I mean, I played around with it when I first got the pencils because I wanted to see. And it does work with them. But I was using different paper. And I think I had a lot more layers of colored pencil down while I was using it. And it really spread the pigment. It still spread the pigment around nice. But I don't think I had enough of the colored pencil layers down. And I'm not sure what's going on here. I got this weird edge. I guess I'll fill that in with blue. But basically, you don't want to soak this thing. I mean, it is soaking, but you don't want to like have it dripping. Like if you use you can use a paintbrush to do this too, but you don't want it dripping with solvent, because it's just going to leave a nasty, gross stain on your paper. Maybe a paintbrush would have been better. Maybe that's probably what I should have done, because if I go over this again, it's breaking the stuff down. But you don't want to sop this stuff on your paper. One, it'll leave a greasy mark on your paper, and it won't go away. It just probably isn't ideal to do that. I'm not going to mess with that anymore. I'm going to put some more layers in the background once that's all dry. So we'll just focus on the mushroom itself for now, if I can find my reference here. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the videos. I know a few people have watched them at least. You know, I'm getting there. I'm getting better. I've learned how to edit. You guys be proud of me. I'm going to go in with this. What do I want to do? I want a darker brown. Let's see. I want to start getting some of my darks in. Dark brown. We'll go with that. Anywho, I have learned to edit a little bit. You want to keep your pencil sharp, guys. Make sure they have a nice tip on them so you can get in there. Probably should use my glove. Anywho, I have learned that I can splice footage together. I can cut the footage, and I figured out how to speed up the footage. So I haven't actually done it in a video. I did splice one of them, but I haven't worked a whole lot at it yet. But I was pretty happy that I figured out how to do that. So we'll get there. This channel will get there. If you do use solvent, you have to let it dry. You can't go in immediately with colored pencils. Let it dry. I guess we'll just keep that light little edge on that where the sunlight's catching reflection a little bit. I'm going to try to speed this up. I know I went extremely painfully slow on the first two. And now that I know how to edit, that'll get better. The other thing I was thinking about doing was leaving the long form ones up. And then once we're done with the piece, I can splice all of them together and speed it up and do a little voiceover. And maybe that'll appeal to more people, you know, because they don't have to sit through. Some people just don't want to sit through these long videos. They don't have time. I know sometimes I don't have time, and I'll even speed them up. I've done that before because I want to watch the whole video, but I'm like, dang, I'm short on time. I'm, you know, on break or just taking a break from work or whatever, and I want to watch a video. So I've sped them up, you know, 1.5 speed or whatever. I can still understand everybody and get the gist of the video. So, you know, if you got to do that, you got to do that. But I know not a lot of people have time. So I'm going to try to, you know, have some shorter, more condensed videos for people. So maybe, but I'll try to leave, you know, these long ones too. Because there are people that like to paint along, and you'll learn something. I know I prefer the longer videos, but again, it's a time thing, and I get that. People are busy. You know, got work, kids, whatever. Several jobs, one job. But I'm gonna try to speed up my work just a little bit tonight. To finish this up. I don't know if we might have another part to this. I'm gonna try really hard not to have more than one more part to this. But I do tend to work slow, and it won't be, like I said, an issue now since I figured out how to speed some things up and cut some things, so I can kind of cut around a little bit. And then if people want to watch, you know, longer form videos, they're more than welcome to, because I'll keep those up too. They're definitely not as popular as some of my other videos, which I get. Like I said, I know people don't have time, and it's fine. I'll try to adjust and learn the best I can. I'm not feeling good today. My husband and I both came down with a cold, and I'm just drained. I'm tired. But I told myself, well, you can go lay down after you go work on your drawing for an hour or whatever, and then you can go relax and be ready, rested, or, you know, get rest for tomorrow when I have to go back to work. It's Sunday for me right now. I always get the Sunday scaries. Does anybody else get the Sunday scaries? Because I sure do. Or I know I have to go, I have to go to work tomorrow. I'd rather do artwork. Why didn't YouTube exist when I was young? That would have been amazing. Again, we want to keep light circles, very light pressure. You don't want to get in there. I have increased my pressure a little bit from our initial videos. The initial 2 videos, I was much lighter, and I am pressing harder now. But I'm not cranking down on it. Not yet. Just trying to get some of these dark splotches to come out a little more, little colorations and patterns and textures. A lot of times I'm just randomly doing this. I'm looking at the reference, but I'm not following it exact. I'm kind of just letting the pencil and the paper create some of the textures, and then I'll just build on from that. It'll still look nice either way. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get some of this detail. There's a lot of detail in this mushroom I never realized, I guess. Yeah, I do appreciate anybody that has been watching. I know it's rough, to start a YouTube channel when you don't know what you're doing. I have no clue. I'm learning as I go, and I have learned in the past month. It's been almost a month now since I started my channel, but it's motivating to me. I would like to be able to teach, a little bit. There's knowledge rolling around in my brain I'd like to pass along to people. Um, Hopefully somebody will get some knowledge out of this on how to use colored pencils, a tip or a trick or something they didn't know. Now it's starting to come around. Now I'm just starting these little patterns that are coming out. I'm starting to pick up on those a little bit, and we're just going to play those up. There's all kinds of little lumps and bumps and textures. Doesn't have to be exact. Don't get too right. I keep thinking my pencil lead is broke, but it's not. It felt weird. You don't have to get everything exact. I mean, you can if you want to. I've seen people get in there, and I was kind of that way, but I've decided I'm not gonna get wrapped up in the realism that much. Now I do like realism, and I will still use it, but I'm not gonna obsess over it. I would obsess over it, and in my opinion, a lot of times I would end up ruining my artwork because I would overwork it, worrying about the details so much. You don't have to be that way. You can. There's nothing wrong with it. I've seen people do it, and their stuff is beautiful. But I want to have a little more fun now. I've decided I want to have more fun with what I'm doing. I don't want to take it quite so serious. I'm going to take YouTube serious, but I'm I'm not going to get so wrapped up that I make myself miserable. I don't know if you can see some of this stuff starting to come out now. Just making some of this texture. Hopefully I'm still focused. I need to be checking that because sometimes this thing will go out of focus on me. And then you're sitting there looking at a blurry picture, and nobody wants that. It almost looks like a orange peel in the photo. That's what it's reminding me of. The texture on an orange peel when you get an orange. Now I've made some of these lines a little too uniform and straight, so I'm going to go in and try to fix some of that because they're not quite so uniform or straight or defined as lines. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. You just gently go in and work at areas that's not turning out the way you want. Then that's why you don't want to go fast, and you don't want to go dark and hard right off the bat, because you can't fix the mistakes once you crank down. Once I draw lines like this and burnish into the paper, there's no coming back from that. um, you're going to kill the tooth of your paper. and you're not going to be able to put any more colors down. So don't do that. I wanted to be an art teacher at one time for college, but now I work in computers, software development, and all that good stuff. If, like I said, if YouTube would have existed when I was young and first out of art school, wow, that would have been amazing. Can't even imagine. I could have just got on there and did art and had a million subscribers eventually and just made money that way. That would have been amazing. Some of these people got it made. They have these channels, they make so much money that have been on YouTube for a while. I know it's a lot harder now, people to get started and make money on YouTube. A lot more competition. YouTube has changed how they do things. All right, we're starting to get somewhere. Hopefully you can see some of this stuff starting to take place. Or starting to take form, I should say. I'm gonna just gonna do a very, very light layer over this because I want to push it into the background a little bit. It's getting there. Drop some of this down into here so it's not quite as big of an edge. This is so relaxing to me, just to sit and color. So has anybody else recently started their art journey or gotten back into art like I'm doing after years away? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're just now getting back into art or if it's something you've been doing for a while and you just want to get better. I am nervous about putting myself out there a little bit, but I'm not going to let it bother me that much where it's going to hinder me. Of course, it's a little nerve-wracking putting your art out for the world to see. Just starting to pull some of these lines out. If I get quiet, I'm sorry. I'm not feeling great, so I'm just kind of enjoying the process. Not my usual chatty self. Maybe if I get enough people, I can start doing some live streams. That'd be fun. At least I think it would be. There is a nice shadow going across here. Not sure why it's in that bit of a shape, but it just kind of runs down. I guess I'm going to have to start bringing in some of the grass down here, or moss. I'm not sure I like this paper. I'm gonna be honest. At least for this colored pencils, it's I don't know. It might be a little too textured for my liking. Start bringing some of this. You want to keep some of the yellow for the highlights. Yeah, I'm already telling you, I don't like this paper with this. I don't like the way it feels. I'm not sure what it is, the texture, the way the pencil feels on it. After you get a few layers down. Probably because there's not much tooth on the paper, even though I'm saying it's textured, but I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. I'll have to try some other colored pencils on it and see if I have the same issue. I'm just trying to throw in some of the dark shadow areas of the moss so I don't lose this out here as we're working on this. Some of it's going up into here. It's just gradual layers. That's why it's so time consuming. Very time consuming process with colored pencils. That's my only gripe about them. They do take a lot of time. But boy, do they look nice. It's basically, I'm just taking a darker green here. It's like a mid green. And I'm just starting to throw in some of the shadows on the moss. I'm trying to keep some of these yellow highlights. We don't want to lose those. It can be tricky if you're not used to colored pencils. I was always used to, back in the day, acrylic paint or gouache. I still love gouache, and I'm going to get back into that too. But with colored pencils, you have to work basically from light to dark, and that's tough for my brain to wrap its little mind around. I like using acrylic or gouache where you can just paint from dark to light, or light to, yes, dark to light, sorry. Um, if you need, with gouache, you would typically go in with the dark first, the darks, and then you add a lighter green on top of that, and then a lighter green on top of that, and, your highlights. And it's easier for me to wrap my brain around that, and hence why I have a tendency to lose highlights so much with colored pencil. I have to be really careful because I'm just not, I don't have my brain 100% trained yet. I'm getting there, but it's hard to wrap your brain around the fact that you have to leave. And even now looking at this, I've lost my highlights up here, some of the whites. But we can go back in with a gel pen or gouache or something at the end. I'll have to decide what I want to do at the end to pull some of those highlights back out. They're definitely a slow medium. So if you're an impatient person, I don't recommend them. If you're a fast, more of a fast worker with your art, which is fine. Some people work a lot faster and they don't want to wait for these layers and layers. And I feel like I need to apologize for how slow this is, but um, it's a slow process, guys. Just trying to get an edge here so I kind of know where the moss is going to be. I don't want this to get lost while we're doing the mushroom. Just gradually darkening up some of the shadow areas. I am excited for this channel. I'm excited to see my progress because it's going to be like a video diary of basically my art journey, and it's kind of exciting to think of it that way. And I encourage anyone else to do this that wants to do it. Even if you don't want to make your videos public, you can make them private and still keep them on your channel and have a little diary of your progress, and you can look at it in a year. That's what I want to do. I'm excited about that, to be able to see, where I've came from and any improvements. Plus, it'll be fun to see how much artwork I actually get done in a year. Because to me, I don't feel like I have a lot to show for the past couple years. And I don't know. It just is disappointing to see that I don't have more progress. But again, I was using excuses. So, especially when you have chronic illnesses, you don't feel good most of the time. But that's why I just decided, you're going to feel like crap anyway. You might as well get some work done instead of wasting your life, wasting your time. And you're going to regret wasting your time as you get older, because I sure do. starting to come around. Starting to see some nice green. So we can get some of these edges even better. Again, light circles, gentle little circles. I can't wait to meet some friends too. Make some art friends on here. It's always nice. People that you have stuff in common with. It's hard for me to meet fellow artists or artists that I have stuff in common with. It's just hard to meet people and find friends like that in general. The internet's made it a lot easier. So if any of this stuff resonates with you, say hi. Introduce yourself. I mean, you don't have to give me your name, obviously, but let me know. What kind of art you do. Why maybe you stopped. Why you want to get back into it. I never wanted to stop. It's just I let life and problems get in the way, and my career as I'm doing now. The career I'm doing now, it's not art. So you're working full time at something else, and it takes a lot of your time and energy. And then if you're like me and dealing, with a chronic illness on top of it, you just don't have a lot of battery left, um, to deal with trying to be creative. But I feel like I'm kind of getting past that now, which makes me happy. I hope. We'll see if it lasts. I think it will. Just trying to find ways to cope with it and be able to still be creative and enjoy myself. Trying to keep the edges soft. You don't want like super hard edges because it's like moss. It's fluffy and it's not like a blade of grass. We'll darken this corner a little bit. Let it get lighter as it comes in. Same with over here. I'd also like to know where anyone's from that's watching these videos. I always like to meet people in other countries, and I find it fascinating. I love that part of the internet that we can meet people across the world. Um, it's wonderful, and people that have stuff in common, with you. Just let me know. Let me know what kind of art you do. Anything you want to tell me about yourself. I love hearing about it. I think it's fun. We're starting to get there. I'm basically trying to keep um, the lighter highlights in this area. And then off to the side here, we're going to make it blend a little bit into the background, or make it not stand out so much. That way it draws your eye in to the mushroom, which is our focal point. And I am in full-blown ugly stage. Start defining some of the edges a little bit more on this guy. I'll bring some of this up here too, because I really like that color. I think it'll help up here with the shadows a little bit. This is what you, for me, I've hit the ugly stage that everybody's drawings will hit. This is the part where a lot of artists give up because they don't like the way it's looking, or it doesn't look finished. It looks, I don't know what the word is. It's just a very ugly stage that everybody's artwork goes through. Um, and I've had to fight that in the past, where I just wanted to quit. And when I was younger, a lot of times I would get mad and, uh, throw whatever it was I was working on away. And don't do that. Give it a chance. Even if it turns out like some of the artwork I showed you not to be, when I showed you my sketchbooks in my other video, even if once you're done, it's not your favorite piece, continue it, finish it, finish it. Right now, this is not looking like my favorite piece either. But if you stick with it to the end, sometimes you'll surprise yourself. It'll come out of that ugly stage and turn into this lovely piece of art. Sometimes it's still ugly, but you learned something, which is very important. So just don't give up. Follow it through. Once you start a piece, follow it through. Don't give up. Don't quit. It's important, and it's a process for every artist. I've heard so many artists have the same issue. Excuse me. And they all say the same thing. Stick with it. See it through to the end. More often than not, I am surprised and pleasantly surprised at the end. Sometimes I have to take it and put it away and come back to it 24 hours later or 2 days later. And then I look at it and go, yeah, okay, not bad. It looks better than I thought it did. I don't know what it is with our brains. I guess we're staring at it so closely. Um, it skewers the way skews. What's the word I'm looking for? Ugh, I don't feel good, guys. Um, it changes our perception of how we're looking at it because we're so close to it. So get away from it. You know, when you finish a piece, I always recommend um, getting away from it for a day or two, come back to it, and then, you know, you might want to add more highlights or details at that point, or it might be done. But that's how I was taught in art school, and it is great advice. Get away from it, and then come back and maybe do some finishing touches on it. I don't know if this paper probably won't work for that at all. If I could scrape some of the highlights out, probably not. Because typically, if you, with colored pencils, you can scrape some of the colored pencil off, but typically you have to be using like a Bristol smooth board to do that. I don't think it works so well on this kind of paper. It'll probably just scratch the paper and not do anything. I'm probably just going to have to go in with a paintbrush and some white and pull some of those details back out. Yeah, I'm definitely in that stage where I'm just like, this is awful. So I want you guys to see, you know, that it's common. Um, it's just the way it is, especially if you're a perfectionist with your artwork, that you got to block that. You got to block that out of your brain a little bit. Learn to block with it. Block it. I'm not liking this paper. I can tell you what it is. I think this paper will be great for graphite, but I don't think it's great for colored pencil. Maybe just not these colored pencils. Um, I'm not sure. Maybe the harder colored pencils will be nicer on it. So I'll have to get away from this myself because I'm already not liking it. I think we're going to switch around here for a second. I'm going to go in. I don't want to use black. This blue. I'm going to maybe add another layer back here. Or at least try to darken some of these edges. So this is just not a flat color across the back. I want some variations back here. And I can define the edge of the mushroom a little more. This is how I work. Not everybody works like this. I tend to jump around. I told you that in another video. It's just the way I was taught to work. Just darkening up some of this background. Now that the Gamsol is dried, I want to try to get a nice edge here on this mushroom. I really do recommend these gloves. Um, it's really seems to help me from smearing stuff so badly. I'll probably have to wash it after this, but or otherwise I'll be dragging this onto my next. I'm just gonna darken that edge, but I'm gonna pull this in now lightly. I'm not burnishing. Burnishing, if you don't know, if you're new to colored pencils, is like what I showed you before with this brown. Instead of doing, you know, these light circles that I'm doing, burnishing is when you go in and you just destroy the tooth of the paper. You crank down on it. And it's a good way to blend in the end if you like to do it that way instead of layering. And you can use burnishing with layering too. But once you do that, you see the difference in the color. I'm not doing that because it's hard. You can't come back from that once you do that. Gradual. Do it gradual, slow. It'll make a difference. And you can keep layering. As long as you're doing light layers, you can keep layering. Let's give it a nice little variation. Sharpen. Nice, nice edge with nice sharp pencil. Excuse me, I got the hiccups, you guys. We're starting to see everything take shape. At least I hope you guys can see it, what we're doing here. And the blue, this is not following my reference at all, but I just wanted a nice, cooler tone or color in the background. And then the mushroom would be warmer, so he'll pop forward. Play around, do whatever you want with your art. Play, you'll learn from it more. I've noticed with my work, I I learn more when I play. Experiment. You're not gonna if you don't take risks, you're not gonna get, you know, the results you want. Yeah, sometimes it's like, oh, that piece it didn't turn out great, but I learned how to do this technique now, and just like the Gamsol, it didn't really work for this paper, or I didn't have enough layers, which is probably the case. But it still put a nice base down in the back. Next time I do a background, though, I'm not going to use that tiny blender. Definitely use a bigger paint, like a paintbrush, or I got some bigger blenders I should have pulled out instead. Hope my camera's still focused. I get to check that sometimes. Very light layers. I really want to get into the gouache. Um, I want to get back into gouache, but I might do my next video with pastels because, as I said in another video, a coworker of mine lost her horse and she really wanted me to do a portrait, and I said I would. And I would like to film that. Um, I wanted to start it this weekend. I actually wanted to start it last weekend, but that didn't happen. And this is taking longer than I thought. And the whole learning process of YouTube was just a little slower than I had anticipated. So that'll probably be the next piece I do, other than maybe some sketching or something like that if I have the energy to film it. A lot of the sketching stuff I do, I don't film. It's like kind of my time or me time to learn as well, focus on it. But I would like to start filming them. I'm just trying to get my courage up a little bit. This took a lot of courage. It took a lot of time for me to get courage up to to get this channel together and start posting artwork. But then I'm like, who cares? Just who cares if people don't like it? Somebody will like it. Doesn't have to be everybody. You can't make everybody happy, and that's just the way it is. I gotta deal with that. Trying to not to make those lines harsh there. Keep keep some of that stuff a little organic. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's starting to come around. Uh, it's taken more time than I had hoped, but that I also it's been a couple months since I've done a full blown colored pencil drawing, so you forget how time consuming it is. You don't want to rush. I hope somebody gets something out of this. And like I said, eventually I would like to maybe do a Patreon or something. Once I get some more experience and perfect some of my techniques a little bit more, um, I think it'd be fun to offer some tutorials. And it wouldn't be expensive, but um, I wish I could have had this when I was younger. Like the learning experience you can get off YouTube. I've learned a lot from artists off of YouTube, and there's a couple channels I swear I've learned more from than I did while I was at school because I'm picking the right people. In school, there's nothing wrong with fine art. I have no problem with it. But some of those people, they're not very nice if you don't do fine art. And I was not one of those people that like to do, classic oil paintings and of that look like the old master. I mean, yeah, I wish I could paint like that, but that's not my style. Um, I was doing dragons and weird stuff, and boy, a lot of them people just were very mean about it, discouraging. And I'm talking instructors; these weren't students. I think the students were more understanding and open, whereas the instructors would just downright tell you, like, well, you're not going to make any money doing that kind of art. Nobody's going to want it. Nobody. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I haven't played in a while because we just haven't had the time. And everybody usually, it's either me or my husband DMing, and we just haven't had the energy or the time to spend making a campaign. It takes a lot of time and energy. So we haven't played because nobody else wants to be a TM. But so I grew up with that kind of artwork and um, movies like Beastmaster and Dragon Slayer and The Sword and the Sorceress and stuff like that. Loved that stuff. And I was drawing that stuff, warriors and dragons. And my teachers, man, even in high school, they would just crap all over me about it, saying you're not going to go anywhere. But I was shocked in college that, the teachers were saying that to me in college. My figure drawing class, um, I turned one of the models, into this crazy fantasy drawing, and it had like spiders and all this stuff. And my teacher just crapped. I was so proud of it, and my teacher just crapped all over it. And um, I don't know. They would still give me A's, which is the weird part because I was good enough that they would still give me A's. Because I was trying really hard. I had an airbrush class, I had painting classes, I had drawing classes, life drawing classes, illustration classes. The only people that were open to my work were the illustration classes, of course, because the people teaching it were also illustrators and they understood. But man, a lot of the like life drawing teacher and the painting guy, and what was funny about it is the painting guy was one of those guys, those painters that just throw splatters of paint all over. And I'm not crapping on it. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I have no problem with it. But you're crapping on me for drawing dragons when you're throwing paint against a canvas and calling it art. So it never sat well with me. Oh, well. I think we're going to end it here because this video is going to go on forever. This will be our part 3, and we're getting there. It's almost done. We're getting there. We just got to add gradually more details. This is where the refinement comes in. So I hope you enjoyed it and listening to me yak and not feel good. So please join me next time. Like and subscribe and comment, please. Tell me again what you like about this. What do you like about this painting? What kind of paintings are you guys working on? What medium? Let me know. But we'll see you next time, and I'll get this out shortly as another video for you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.